Hi everyone. So this is my first live stream, so a little bit awkward. So let's see how many people we will have for today. So before until I receive questions, I'm just gonna share some of my reactions and opinion about the recent changes in the SOA, so cyber actuaries for the ASA pathway. I see someone just joined, so okay, and then disappear again. So anyways, so I thought that I would share my opinions on the recent changes in the Society of Actuaries. So they saying that they gonna have I guess a major revamp in the education system for preliminary exams. Hi, Chua. So I'm just saying that I want to share about my reactions on the changes in the Society of Actuaries. So I think what they are trying to make is remove some of the older material for the first two exams, probability exams and the financial mathematics, and then also removing the IMF exam. I guess they want to focus more on predictive analytics, exam and such. So more components of data science. For me, is a positive change because if you think about in the future and the way technology impacts and our work as an actuary, so there's analytics, there's modeling, there's analysis and judgment and everything. So for sure, actual science is a multidisciplinary subject. So we require a lot of different knowledge from actual science, from mathematics, statistics, finance, economics, now even computer science, technology, and more. So for sure, our work as an actuary already getting impacted. So the way that the society actually trying to get us is to prepare more education and knowledge in this area, more analytics, data science and stuff. And when you think about it, it's I would say that actual work can be considered data scientist work before the data science was actually introduced in the past 10 year decade and so this really change is just so that equip for us to be more up to date to the new changes onto how technologies or how the different material and everything knowledge is impacting our work. So I think it's a positive change. So when you think about actual science, a lot of the time, I would say that's combination of or actual work, a combination of mathematics and business. And then data science is computer science, business, and mathematics. So it did not expect us to be so strong in the computer science for actuary work. But and nobody would expect that in reality, when you actually in practice, you have to be strong in on aspect of your work. So you learn things on the go as well. So in that sense, we are very good in analytical skill in trying to analyze information, especially back then insurance industry information, in order to quantify risk. So in that sense, now that introducing more component or helping us to push to get better in modeling skills using our Python or that's what the society actually are trying to. Back then when I took the exams, there was no testing in art or anything. Now they're trying to tell you oh yes, it's benefit for you to pick up these skills. So I think it's beneficial that the society actually trying to continue to help the education system to make our professions more evolved. And when you think about it, the society actuaries or like other actual organizations run largely by actuaries. So I volunteer for the society actuaries as well as the Canadian Institute of Actuaries. So we continue to look for like up-to-date knowledge of what the new trends and what information or skill set that we think the new actuaries should be equipped for the future. So it's like we really want like the profession to evolve so that like to show that like actuaries can do a lot of work, and we're not just the insurance industry expert. We're not just that. So like we can work in many different fields, many industry outside of the insurance. So overall, my reactions to like this change, that's what the society actuaries are doing, is like positive. Anyways, so that is really my opinion. So I see a few people join. Do you have any questions for me for this live Q&A? It's really my first time doing this, so it's a little bit awkward, but I'm hope to like just improve it. So I actually received questions here. So I'm gonna address it as well. So someone asked me about, so they're thinking of pursuing the IFOA track, so the Institute and Faculty of Actuary. So it's an organization based on the UK. And they're saying that like the University of Waterloo would offer them some credit exemption. And asking about what is the job opportunities if they pursuing the IFOA, but through in Canada. So I would say that in general, like education is just one aspect of how you're gonna get a job or like you be qualified for a job. Like in reality, like when you look at different job posting, yes, they do ask like, oh, maybe you need to be have certain educations, maybe undergrad, or maybe like having certain exam or something. But they also look at your experiences and your skill set and everything. So if you are, let's say, like the person say, if you are a member of the IFOA, but you get all of that through education system here. So even if you're a fellow, but if you compare to someone that actually also a fellow of through either the Society of Actuaries or the Casualty Actuarial Society, and they have work experience, because often if we go through the SOA or the CAS system, you study and work at the same time. So if you study and work at the same time, you will gain relevant working experiences. And you show that, and if you work well, you show the company that yes, you can be able to perform. You can be like a very like strong employee, right? So you can develop different skill sets. You put theories into practice. That's at the end of the day, that's what company wants to see. You want to be able to show that you can add value to the company. So if you are just getting qualification through education system with no working experiences, it's gonna be very hard for you to compete for a job. Like, why would they pick you as also someone like fellow versus, with no working experiences compared to somebody also a fellow with strong working experiences? Like you see in Canada, it take in Canada, North America, if you do the SOA or the CAS in order to get to become a fellow, it takes like 6 to 10 years in order to get a fellow. Companies would support you through that education, like working and studying at the same time, so you can gain relevant working experience at the same time as well. So you want to build those skill set, like practical working skills, like analytical skill, technical skill, and like also like all of those soft skills that you can only gain by actually working in a team working with multiple different people, working on working on multiple different projects in order to gain those skills. So if you expect that you can get like a fellow or like become qualified without having any working experience, I think it's going to be difficult to get a job in general. So so in general, I would say, like, if you're looking to become an actuary and trying to get into the field, I would encourage people that you want to, it's best if you can get like 1 or 2 exams first, so that like it shows that you have a commitment in this path, that you would like to, you're serious about the actual profession. But then once you have 1 or 2 exams, it's better if you actually can gain relevant experiences. You can gain it through like volunteering, different volunteer opportunities, or like when you actually work in extracurricular activities in school, or like part-time job to develop relevant experiences. So when relevant experience, when I say, is like you can demonstrate like analytical skills. So like if you have problem solving, if you have some problems and you have to come up with solution in order to solve those problems, then so that would be I think like a lot of the different job, like even if you work in fast food restaurant, when you have to face like a difficult clients, or how to improve your like serving, or like pick I guess day-to-day work, there are opportunities for you to showing those skills. And then also like your communication, working in team, and all of those, right? For me, those are relevant experiences. And if you have like past exam 1 or 2, and then having those relevant is some experiences, and then you actually perform well in like in the interview, so showing that you'll be able to communicate, you also like showing your personality, right, that like that you can fit to the team, then you can actually break into the field, rather than just like thinking of like education is all you need in order to go into this field. Like, I think the challenge actuary can be very technical, like actual work can be very technical, but like the new actuary, I think the actuary for the future is like this work is more business work, which position you go into further than just the technical person. Like a lot of actuaries, especially in the insurance industry, they go up to like executive levels to manage many different teams and so on. So because like in the insurance industry, it's a difficult concept for insurance concept in general. So with our knowledge, with going through all of the exam and stuff, it built up to be like not afraid. I would say not afraid of difficult knowledge to actually learn that we can learn on the go, right? So those something that like by going through all of these exam and stuff, that we'll be able to like have strong motivation, determination to pass through everything. So you have those attitude, you have those knowledge, you have to understand the difficult concepts and stuff. So you're already a strong position in the insurance industry. And then with like the soft skill, that is when it can push you to the next level. So I would say like always look to develop different aspect in order to become a well-rounded actuary, and don't just focus on just trying to pass exam. Like at the end of the day, in reality world, when you actually work, like you prove yourself is by performing well at work, not getting perfect on an exam or anything. Yeah. Let me check to see if I get other questions. Okay, I got some questions. So back then for me, there was no exemption from the university. Maybe now they think that the actual organization just introduced so many different exams, so they have a little bit lenient on this, so that's why you can get some exemption. But back then we didn't have any. But even right now, let's say if I hire someone for entry level, like internship and stuff, right? If I can see that, they have a credit for, let's say, just exam P, it's already showing me that, yes, they are committed to this path. And I think that's sufficient. I would want to go next further, like, okay, what other experience they have, right? What story they can tell me from this resume? What other skill? What have they done at school, in their community, or in other work? So I think for internship, like, having one credit is enough. Like, I know there are people that get the first internship without any exam or credit, and that's why, because like if they can show in the networking events or on their resume that they are strong, like if they have a strong resume, that they have like interesting experiences, or like cover letter, they have good story or stuff, like they still can be able to be selected for interview. And then like once you are interviewed, that's really like depend on who the competitors are and how well you perform in the interviews, right? So that's like where your personality is gonna shine. And sometimes it's also just the right time. Like there are a lot of other people compete for the same position as well, and the right fit for the team too, right? So for looking for job or internship is always challenging. So yeah. So I think my answer is like one credit. I think that's enough. But of course, if you can have more credit, then it's better. It doesn't hurt. But if I think it's like you are an associate or fellow already, somehow you get on of those without any working experience, I think it's going to be a very tricky situation, because then you compete to someone that have the qualification and also the working experience. So I think you want to have like a balance between working experience and also exam credit and stuff. Okay, so I see questions on what are the skill set that give you advantage for the interview. Well, if you are in an interview environment, right? So if you are already selected for interview, it means that like your resume is, I think it's good enough, that like it's strong enough that they would select you for that. Interviews mean like I think they believe you are qualified to do the work, right? So now they want to see what you say on the resume is I guess in a way like also what real as well, and how and whether you can communicate well, and how your personality is, right? A lot of the time for actual at least for my experience, there's no technical questions. There's no behavioral questions. It's like, tell me the situation this, or tell me that, how do you handle this? Like hardly that I got any technical questions. So they want to see how you actually handle different situations in the past, or and how you actually explain things. So in this, it's like, if you study to prepare for an interview, I think you know about like having a SMART answer. It's like, no, you explain when, what, how, and have the result or something. So those, like, there's interview techniques that you have to research and practice. And I would say this is the thing, is like, as you study or work, or as you gain more experiences in anything, you want to keep track of the different situations that would potentially become your stories to tell later on. Because only when you actually have real stories to tell, real situation, then it can prove, like it can show like your personality, or how you can handle things. right? So I would say like the more experiences you can gain in anything, like in school and extra, like participating club, in community service, volunteering, anything, those would help to build your stories. And then you can face many different situations. Then when they ask any questions, you will have story to answer how you actually behave in that situations and what the results are, how you improve and everything. So I think that is where they actually looking to see whether you're good fit or you actually know what you're doing and not just like writing on resume, right? Because sometimes it's like we can tell if you exaggerate a bit on the resume compared to like what the knowledge you actually have compared to what you actually know. Yeah. Okay. So what advice do you have for people who want to work abroad and getting a job offer prior to moving to the new country, especially during a pandemic? So I would say if it's me, if I'm looking to move abroad and especially getting a job, so there will be two paths for me to approach this. One is through headhunter, recruiter forms. This, I'm not sure about other industry, other professions, but for actuary profession, it's normal for qualified actuaries to get approached or like finding jobs through a headhunter. They have specialized firms through for the actual profession, and they would have the network and stuff. So in that sense, you're trying to build that. But also the second one is like building the network. So right now, even though I'm not planning to move back to Vietnam, but in a way, I'm building my network already in Vietnam with other qualified actuaries, with the headhunter in Vietnam, just to understand the job market and everything. So if I ever have one day, if I ever decided to move, I have that network. I know who to approach to and everything. So for me, networking is extremely important, not just to find a job within your country, but it's even more important to if you decide to move abroad. And yeah, so I think that will be how I approach things if I decide to like getting a job before moving abroad. So yeah, so like I think like it's like getting those so that you know what jobs out there. You go through headhunter, you know about those jobs, and then they will be facilitate the opportunity for you to actually talk to hiring managers, and then like go through interview process and stuff. So and these days, I think with the technology and stuff, it's probably easier to do interview and everything over the internet. Okay, so follow-up questions from Anthony. As now I see that we do have inflation in degrees or exam, and many students when graduate having 3 or more exam level 1 or even level 2 clear. It seems like you're talking about CFA exams. If you mention level 1 or level 2. Okay, but anyways, so the inflation's degrees, I probably agree, because like especially these days when you have more platforms online in like more accessible to online educations and everything. Like there's so many different courses out there for you to just get a certificate and so on, right? So it's just like it's in a way it can show that you have some, at least like you have some education for different topics that you're interested or like that the job require. So I think is so yeah, so I see that like there's still inflation, and because of that, I think it's even more important that you need to have other experiences to show that it's not, you don't just have the education. So for me, like when they look at me, they were like, oh, you have on actual designations, you have MBA, you have CFA, you have data science courses and stuff. But I did not stop working at all for the last 10 years. I did all of those and working at the same time. And so like my work and my job responsibility continue to increase. And I continue to volunteer and everything so that I can build a wealth of experiences for myself. So they wouldn't just look at me and say, oh, she only know how to study. So I think it's even more important that you want to be able to demonstrate that you have other skill sets or experiences together with the relevant education. But like actuaries, yes, you do need to pass exam, everything. But then like for a lot of other profession, the degrees, it's just one small aspect for you to get a job, get your first job, as well as like to continue to move up. So, okay, so another question, how could you build a strong resume while currently attending school? So for me back then, it's really about like volunteering in the community through current extracurricular activity at school. So I participate in like international student connections. So it's where I organize events. I was the treasurer there, and then also like the president of the organization. So it's like I work with people, I manage the team. So that's like one volunteer experience. Also like the treasurer for like the Canada Day celebrations, where I should handle like 75,000 to 100,000 budget. So it's like there are a lot of opportunities that you can participate at your university and also in the community. And especially these days, like you can volunteer online. So I would say like I made a video about how to volunteer strategically. So I can put in the link in the comment sections. But that is where like how you can also positions to build the relevant experience for the jobs that you're looking for or in the field that you want. Like that's how you can network to the people in the relevant field that you're interested in. And yeah, and then part-time job as well. I also worked part-time back then in university. I was like a cook in the at the bar, in the university bar. Yeah, and then like doing some. I was also like division manager for residents. So yeah, I always look for doing multiple different things. My grade, to be honest, were not that high in the last few years, like pretty slacking. But I never regretted it because like even though like now sometimes like when I apply for the master, they say like my track record from like my grade back in school was a bit lacking, but it's all right because like I do have all the experiences and all the designation to offset it. So I think grades is one thing, but like you want to build your other experiences, and like networking is very important. Like knowing more people would increase your chance of knowing the right people, and then will increase your chance to know about the opportunity at the right time. Yeah. Next question, could you share some methods of productive studying? I actually have a video about that. So I can put in a comment on that. But overall, like for me, like for studying is when I was young and naive, I think I could study overnight and pass and stuff. But as the material is much harder, the workload is more. Yeah, it doesn't work if you if you think that you can just pass everything like overnight. Like if you can just study for a few days and you will be good. Like it doesn't work anymore in the long run. So I would say always like the main thing first is like start early in your studying, because the more time you have, the more you will have more buffer, and also be able to break things down into smaller pieces, to go through things. So it's like project management work. Is when you approach things, especially the bigger the project, the bigger the exam with more material, you want to be able to plan things out in order to like how you're gonna approach this. So it's all like just like problem solving. You want to break the big problems into the smaller problems that you can solve one at a time. And that's when you can make progress. And if you make progress, you will have more motivation to keep going, feel less overwhelming, and continue until you solve the whole things. So for me, it's just like productive studying is like, plan, prioritize, focus. I think it's no special techniques or anything, but it's just like you continue doing all of that and building the discipline in order to continue pushing yourself to do it. So building the right habits, that after a while, building the right habit for you to approach studying or working on anything. So I definitely will leave links to the video that I talk about, like just how to study and working at the same times, and like different tips to stay motivated and such. Okay, so another questions. Do you code a lot as an actuary? If yes, which language do you use? So I'm already in the industry for 10 years now. So I'm at the level that like, so right now I'm a director, so I'm at a more like managerial level. So I don't do much, I guess, front facing or like technical work, or like building model right in the first place. But back then, when I first started, we do like Excel, we always use Excel, and then in order to like automate things, we would use VBA in order to help with automate the Excel models. And the coding on that, I would still say is pretty basics, to be honest, for my work. And especially I'm in a life insurance industry. So for life and P&C, I think P&C is more advanced in terms of coding and everything. So recently, when I started to take some data science courses myself in order to pick up the skill, and this is why I have a positive reactions to the changes in the SOA, because like for myself, like they didn't have those knowledge or those materials through the education. So I have to pick it up myself through like data science courses at Sheridan College, and now for my master in computer science and IT. So yeah, so like for coding, so I pick up like R and Python, and I use it at work. My boss didn't ask me to do that, but I saw that there's a way to actually automate things using R in order to do stochastic modeling. So I use that at work, but like the knowledge I build is like from my courses outside. So these days, I do see that people, especially in P&C, I think like coding in R Python is pretty normal for them. For life insurance, especially at least through my experience, it's still relatively pretty new. Like if we do code, it's most likely it's like some SQL or just like VBA through Excel. So yeah, I think it depends on the industry and the companies and the countries and stuff that you have for this. But in general, I would encourage you to like know Excel very well, VBA, but VBA, like that's just the once like learning coding and stuff, it's just like it doesn't really matter which language, which programming language. Like if you know the logics and the different syntax, you can look up things up, right? So it's more, I think it's more like the logic and understanding how to actually solve problems, how to structure the problems. Then I think you would want to pick up either R or Python, so that if you skill in those, I think you would develop like a good mindset on how to approach things through codings. So yeah. Okay, so I think that is it in today's video. So it's already 8:35. So thanks everyone for joining me today. And any other questions, just let me know and I will answer them in the future questions. Again, thank you for your support. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in next week video. Bye now.